This storm. It's not just any storm. It's been raging inside me for years. I smile in front of people, laugh when I have to, act like I'm okay, but deep down, I'm tired of pretending like everything is fine when my heart feels empty. Mom, I'm getting tired of this life. I'm already 38 years old, and I haven't seen any man who genuinely loves me. You keep telling me to wait on God, but I don't know how much longer I can keep waiting.
I understand how you feel, Lucy. But remember, God's time is always the best.
I'm ready to give up, Mom. Just last week, I was embarrassed and insulted in front of my colleagues. I cried and cried. I felt so worthless.
Oh, my dear. Do you know that your breakthrough is very close? You just haven't seen it yet.
How do you mean it's near, Mom? Because all I see is pain and disappointment.
Listen. There is a secret many people don't know. When your breakthrough is very close, certain battles begin to rise. These battles are signs that something good is coming. Let me tell you 4 of them. Number 1, a serious urge to give up. There comes a moment in every believer's journey where everything feels like it's falling apart. You look around and nothing seems to be working. Prayers feel unanswered. Doors remain shut. Everyone else seems to be moving forward, getting married, having kids, building careers, while you're stuck, waiting, wondering, and wrestling with pain in silence. In those moments, a powerful urge rises from deep within. Just give up. This urge is not ordinary. It doesn't come when you're far from your goal. It often shows up when you are closest to the promise. This intense desire to throw in the towel is one of the enemy's strongest weapons against your destiny. He doesn't fight those who are going nowhere. He attacks those who are on the edge of something big. He senses you are almost at the breakthrough God has prepared for you, so he unleashes discouragement, confusion, and emotional exhaustion in a desperate attempt to make you stop before you step into your season. Think about Elijah in 1 Kings 19. This was a mighty prophet who had just called down fire from heaven and defeated the prophets of Baal. But right after that victory, he was so overwhelmed and tired that he asked God to take his life. It is enough. Now, O Lord, take away my life, for I am not better than my fathers. 1 Kings 19:4. Isn't that shocking? A powerful man of God, doing great things, yet he felt like giving up. Why? Because he was under intense spiritual pressure right before the next phase of his assignment. But God didn't give up on him. He sent an angel to strengthen him, because there was still more ahead. That same pattern shows up in our lives. When we are just steps away from what we've prayed for, marriage, healing, purpose, a new level of joy or peace, the weight of waiting can feel unbearable. The enemy whispers lies, "You're too old now. Maybe God forgot you. Look at others, they're ahead. Maybe you are not worthy." These are not the voice of God. God's voice reminds you of his promises. He says, "I will never leave you nor forsake you." Hebrews 13:5. His timing is perfect, and his delay is never denial. Sometimes, the urge to give up is actually a sign that your spiritual womb is contracting, its birth pangs before the miracle. No one gives birth without pain, but no one holds their baby and remembers the labor. The joy outweighs the struggle. The breakthrough makes the tears make sense. So if you're reading this and you feel tired, ready to quit, ready to walk away from the promise God gave you, don't. Rest if you must, but don't quit. Cry if you have to, but don't stop trusting. Talk to God in your pain, and remind yourself, if the pressure is this strong, then the blessing must be that close.
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
Number 2, heightened temptations that try to pull you off track. One of the most deceptive and dangerous battles you will face when you're close to your breakthrough is heightened temptation. These aren't your average, everyday struggles. These temptations come like a flood, suddenly, unexpectedly, and powerfully, designed to distract you, detour you, and ultimately disqualify you from the blessing that's just around the corner. You've been faithful, you've been waiting, you've been pressing through seasons of pain and loneliness. And just when you're nearing the finish line, when heaven is getting ready to release what you've been praying for, Temptation starts knocking on your door louder than ever. Why? Because the enemy knows what's coming. He knows you're closer than you think, and his only mission now is to get you to forfeit your blessing by making decisions in the flesh instead of the spirit. Temptation often comes dressed in what you've been longing for. That perfect person shows up, charming, attractive, saying all the right things, but completely wrong for your destiny. A job opportunity appears, flashy, fast-paying, but it pulls you away from your values. The loneliness gets heavier, the need for comfort grows stronger, and suddenly, you're tempted to settle for less, compromise your standards, or go back to the very things God delivered you from. This is not coincidence. This is warfare at the edge of the promise. Look at Jesus. Right after he fasted for 40 days, right before he began his public ministry, Satan came to tempt him in the wilderness. Matthew 4, 1-11. Isn't that interesting? The temptation didn't come at the beginning of his fast or the middle, it came at the end, right before he stepped into purpose. Satan offered him shortcuts to glory, power without obedience, bread without the cross. But Jesus resisted with the word of God. Why? Because he knew the blessing was not in compromise, it was in completion. In the same way, when you are on the edge of something God has prepared, especially after a long period of silence or struggle, the enemy will try to bait you into disobedience. He'll offer temporary pleasure to sabotage permanent blessing. But giving in, even just once, can lead to delays or derailments that take years to recover from. That's why 1 Corinthians 10:13 is so powerful. No temptation has overtaken you except what is common to mankind. And God is faithful. He will not let you be tempted beyond what you can bear. But when you are tempted, He will also provide a way out so that you can endure it. God never allows temptation without escape. But you must stay spiritually alert, especially in your moments of weariness. The enemy doesn't just tempt you when you're strong, he waits until you're tired, vulnerable, and emotionally drained. That's when the tests come. That's when your decisions carry the most weight. Number 3, a deep fear of the unknown. There is a battle many people face but rarely talk about, a deep, gripping fear of the unknown. It creeps in quietly, especially when you're on the verge of something new, something big, something different. You may not see it, but it shows up as hesitation, second-guessing, procrastination, or even emotional paralysis. Suddenly, you start asking yourself, what if it doesn't work? What if I get hurt again? What if I'm not enough? This fear becomes even more intense when you're close to a breakthrough. The very blessing you've prayed for begins to feel overwhelming because it carries uncertainty. You can feel that God is shifting things, opening new doors, changing your environment, but because you can't see the full picture, you start imagining the worst. You begin to fear stepping out of your comfort zone, even though staying there is draining your soul. Think about Abraham in Genesis 12. God told him, "Leave your country, your people and your father's household and go to the land I will show you." No map. No detailed plan. Just a promise. Can you imagine how much fear could have tried to grip his heart? He had to walk away from everything familiar and trust a God he couldn't see to take him to a place he didn't know. That's the definition of faith, but it's also the breeding ground for fear of the unknown. Yet Abraham obeyed, and through his obedience, he stepped into the covenant that birthed nations. Fear of the unknown is the enemy's way of keeping you stuck. He knows he can't stop what God has ordained for you, but he can try to make you delay it by overwhelming your mind with uncertainty. Number 4, being hated or misunderstood by people close to you. One of the most painful experiences in life is not being rejected by strangers, but being hated, misunderstood, or opposed by the very people who know you best, your own family or close friends. It cuts deeper than any outside criticism, because these are the people you expected to cheer you on, to support your growth, to recognize your heart. Instead, you find yourself misunderstood, talked about, or even deliberately resisted, not because you've done something wrong, but because you're stepping into something greater. This is more than just personal conflict. It's spiritual. When God begins to lift you, separate you, or prepare you for a new season, Those closest to you may not understand the shift. Suddenly, the same people who once walked with you don't relate to you anymore. They may feel threatened by your change, envious of your progress, or simply uncomfortable with the light you carry. And instead of celebrating your growth, they criticize it. You find yourself isolated in rooms you used to feel safe in. Your motives are questioned. Your silence is misinterpreted. And your presence is no longer welcome like it used to be. But here's the truth, this is not a sign that something is going wrong, it's a sign that God is setting you apart. Think about Joseph. In Genesis 37, he had a dream, one that revealed a future of greatness. But what happened next? His own brothers hated him. They mocked him, stripped him of his coat, threw him in a pit, and sold him into slavery. Why? Because they couldn't handle what God had placed inside of him. And they hated him even more for his dreams and for his words. Genesis 37:8. The betrayal didn't come from enemies, it came from blood. Yet it was that very betrayal that God used to position Joseph for the palace. Jesus himself experienced this. In Mark 6:4, he said, "A prophet is not without honor except in his own town, among his relatives and in his own home." Even the Son of God was rejected in his hometown. His miracles were limited there because of unbelief. Isn't that amazing? Sometimes, the people closest to you are so familiar with your past that they can't recognize your present anointing. They box you into who you used to be and refuse to accept who God is making you. This rejection, as painful as it is often part of the process. God uses it to teach you how to depend on Him, not human validation. He uses it to move you out of comfort zones and into places where His favor can flourish without resistance. And sometimes, He allows separation so that when the blessing comes, there will be no confusion about who gets the glory, only God. So if you've been facing opposition from family, close friends, or people you never expected, don't let it harden your heart. Don't let bitterness grow. Recognize it for what it is, a spiritual indicator that you're being elevated. When people can no longer control your journey, they may try to control the narrative about you. But keep moving. Keep obeying. Keep trusting. Because the same God who allowed the rejection is the God who will use it to position you for purpose. Psalm 118:22 says, "The stone the builders rejected has become the cornerstone." You are not rejected, you are being realigned. The misunderstanding you are facing is not the end. It's a necessary part of your becoming. Keep your heart clean, your spirit focused, and your eyes on God. The very ones who misunderstood you may one day witness the glory of what God has done in your life, and they'll know it was all Him.
Oh really? Wow. You've really lifted my spirit. I have more reasons to keep moving forward now.
That's my girl. God bless you, dear. Keep trusting Him, He hasn't forgotten you.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.